You're listening to Living with Louie. Well, folks, I would like to welcome you to this week's edition of Living with Louie. In this week's edition, we're going to touch a little bit on the autonomic system that seems to have changes in those of us with Lewy body. The autonomic system is formally referred to as a vegetative nervous system. It's a division of your nervous system that supplies internal organs, um, smooth muscle and glands. The autonomic nervous system is a control system that acts largely unconsciously. In other words, these are the things you don't have to think about. Your body just does it all automatically. And so, at any rate, it regulates bodily functions like your heart rate, digestion, respiratory rate, pupillary response, urination, yes, and sexual arousal. Some of the things that have happened with me, um, in my particular case, I can tell you that one of the biggest things that I've noticed with my autonomic system interruptions um, are dealing with temperature regulation. I mean, it can be perfectly comfortable in my home at let's say 74 degrees and I'm just fine. And then the next second, I'm sitting there sweating bullets and without any activity or anything. So that's one of the ones that likes to come and visit with me quite frequently. I also recently had to go to a cardiologist because I was having a very irregular heartbeat, very rapid heartbeat. So the thing that kind of set me aback with the cardiologist was when I asked him about his knowledge of Lewy body, and could it in fact be these irregular patterns be attributed to my autonomic system. He was like, no. So we asked to see another cardiologist, and we certainly ran across one that had a much better working knowledge of Lewy body and how it affects us. But I don't think that uh, that it's the easiest thing in the world to understand. But I guess it's something that when you start having some of these things happen, like they need to be conveyed to your physician, because some of them they can probably do something with, some of them they may not be able to. Not everyone with Lewy body will develop problems with their autonomic system. However, uh, I know that some of the people that I've talked to have definitely had one or more of these autonomic changes happen to them. And for me, um, the one thing that they kind of break this down, and I'm bringing this to you from Dementia Australia, has a nice publication here on autonomic changes in Lewy body. It says difficulty urinating can occur in men. It may be mistaken for prostate problems. Um, Nocturnal polyuria is the need to urinate rapidly at night 20 times is not uncommon. That I don't have a real problem with. I would think that the problems that I have experienced with my bladder is sometimes just this uncontrolling urge that I need to go and I need to go now. Um, so I'm not so sure. I guess some of that can be part of the aging, and some of it can be attributed potentially to the autonomic system. Um, but it says it should be monitored by a medical specialist, and I certainly have involved uh, my physician um, in sharing this. But this is the kind of stuff that has to be shared with your physician in order for them to be able to help you um, as you navigate this Lewy body. And for me, it says bowel function can be affected, constipation, or an urgent need to go can occur. It says here that this can result in socially distressing situations. No kidding. I will tell you that there's nothing more embarrassing than to have a bowel problem in a public place, and it is awfully embarrassing. And then you got to get home and get yourself straightened back out. Um, Says here bloating and nausea is another gastrointestinal symptom. Constipation is a leading cause for confusion um, with a lot of people with more advanced Lewy body, is what it says. I will tell you that I either have one of two things. It's either no problem at all, a matter of fact, I would consider my bowels maybe a little on the loose side, or I'm constipated. There doesn't seem to be a happy medium there. Um, so that's um, that's part of this autonomic. Sexual function changes in intimate relationships can occur early in the disease. Impotence appears to be more common than an increase in the libido. Um, Not anything that I've experienced at this point, and I guess I can say I'm glad because um, one knows that this disease can give you one thing one day and another thing the next, and it's kind of hard to know exactly what you're going to deal with until you get up and get going. The next one that's here is the temperature dysregulation. Being able to automatically regulate your body temperature is common. It can result in shivering or perspiring regardless of the environmental temperature. Um, I don't ever recall the shivering, but I can tell you that at times I feel like I'm in the frying pan, and it can happen just in the blink of an eye. I'll be sitting there and boom. Cardiac symptoms, heart rhythm irregularities, such as, well, get this, irregular or rapid heart rate can occur. Huh. Cardiac symptoms require specialist assessment. Well, that's why we went to the cardiologist, and when we realized with the first one that I feel as though his dismissal of the fact that this could be involved with my Lewy body um, certainly spoke volumes to me about the fact that he had a lack of knowledge of Lewy body, and that is not uncommon with physicians and doctors at all. This is the most commonly misdiagnosed form of dementia, and I think that that's part of the reason that I struggle to give um, awareness so that people can be educated as to what folks like us living with Lewy body go through, but also to raise awareness so that our loved ones can understand more about what we're going through, and certainly so medical professionals and whatnot um, can also become familiar. I know that not every doctor can know everything. It's just like no one can know everything, but certainly having the knowledge that it exists and being able to find the material that they need to be able to treat you, the reference material, whatever, the medical journals to be able to treat you, I think is important. But here we are. And I know that that's an area that I hear often. I know that if you look at Robin Williams' story, I mean, here's the guy who could certainly afford the best medical care possible, and yet Lewy Body took his Lewy Body was what caused him to take his life, but he never had a diagnosis. Out of all the doctors that he saw, he never received an official diagnosis. And I believe I will be speaking correctly to say that his his widow feels as though had he known that it was a disease and that he wasn't necessarily going crazy, that perhaps things might have been different. But it says here, recognizing them, it says autonomic changes associated with Lewy body disease can be difficult to assess and treat, particularly if they are viewed in isolation in the early stages of the disease. If there are changes to normal function, it is always important to seek medical advice. Some changes can be distressing, embarrassing, or difficult for the person or their carer to manage. Often, the person experiencing the changes may not appear to be affected by the changes at all. I'm pretty obvious when I'm being affected by the temperature change because I'm sweating bullets uh, out of my head, and I don't have any hair up there to hide it, but that's immaterial. That wasn't caused by Lewy body, but it says it can help to have a family member or a friend accompany the person to medical appointments. I can't stress that enough. I can tell you that I can't remember a lot of things. I don't go to any medical appointments anymore without my wife there with me. And I've had one occasion where my wife could not make the appointment and I took my brother. But I make sure that I always have someone there that can help to digest the conversation, digest what's said, what recommendations are made, because I oftentimes won't remember what those recommendations were by the time I get out to the parking lot. So, and sometimes I think that one of the reasons I always like to have my wife, if I can, is she's the one that's around me the most. And certainly there are plenty of times that I rely on her to be able to give pertinent information to my care professionals so that they have a better, clearer understanding of what it is that's going on with me. And I can't always articulate that myself, or I don't remember a specific thing that maybe I want to bring up with that particular care provider, and my wife will. And so I believe that's very important to have someone that's going with you. Um, Certainly, they can provide information to medical specialists, it says here, with the person's consent, of course, and support the person during the appointment, because some of the things that we have to talk about aren't exactly an easy thing to talk about. And so having someone there to support you and help you with that is 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 comforting. So It says tips for managing autonomic changes in Lewy body disease require medical assessment and treatment. We've gone through that. They can add to the impact of the disease and to the care stress level. I think there's a lot of things about this Lewy body that can certainly um, become a stress. Don't know what I'm losing the word. Um, at any rate, I think that we can cause a lot of stress for our caregivers because we're going through something and we're trying to suffer through, and they're standing there watching, and they're not really necessarily always completely understanding. They're trying. I honestly know that um, my wife tries very hard to understand. There are times when I don't know that I'm conveying it to her in a manner that's going to help that situation. I think oftentimes I get frustrated, and it makes it very difficult for me to to uh, maintain a calm when at times. I get particularly frustrated when I can't remember important uh, passwords and things like that, and electronics oftentimes cause me some difficulty. But I have to say that I try real hard, and I try to be aware of how I'm coming across to my wife. But I must say that I don't know that I'm always successful. Um, it's it says some tips here. It says to consider: accept that the person feels the need to urinate frequently. Okay. Yeah, I guess if I have to go to the bathroom, you're better off letting me go to the bathroom than what you are um, having to deal with the aftermath of that. But at any rate, um, make an appointment with your doctor to discuss possible reasons. Um, it says here to discuss the use of continence products, which that's something that we've had to consider. Not quite there yet, but I can tell you that I won't. I don't think I'll hesitate because I've had the discomfort of having something happen in public, and it's no fun. And so it says to leave a nightlight on. Um, that's always, I think, a good idea. And it says consider bathroom modifications earlier than later and install non-slip floors. Um, there's some things that you can do for your to help with changes in your bowel habits. One is to they've suggested to me a higher fiber diet. The other thing that I have to be careful for, though, with higher fiber in my diet is that I'm also um, I have latent immune diabetes, and that's also something that's not very common. It's classed as diabetes 1.5, so I have to be careful to make sure that whatever I am consuming is also going to aid in the management of my blood sugar. Um, says to plan ahead when traveling. Make a note of accessible public toilets on your trip. Avoid peak hours of traffic and freeways. I was with my wife. We were riding down um, the interstate, and there was a construction area. It was on the weekend, and there was no workers out there, but there was someone who had stopped along the road there to take advantage of the porta potty that was there. So that's someone who certainly needed to find a restroom right away because That just seemed a little odd, but at any rate, I guess I can understand it also as well. But these are some of the things that can happen with the autonomic changes that happen to us that have Lewy body. Please remember, folks, that we are 100% voluntarily funded by our listeners. So please go to the link at the bottom of your favorite podcast provider, and you'll find a link there that says support the show, or you can find us on GoFundMe under Living with Lewy Podcast, and every dollar counts, and every dollar helps. So please take a minute and go in and support the show. We certainly would appreciate it. The only thing we try to do is cover our operating costs and equipment maintenance costs. So we thank you and have a great day. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Lewy.